Hello, my name is Emma, and welcome to another episode of Booktubing 101. I have not uploaded one of these videos in months, but I finally had a really great idea that I was super excited to share with you guys. So today I'm going to be giving you guys tips on how to receive advanced reader copies, or better known on Booktube as ARCs, from publishers. I actually posted a Booktubing 101 video called Receiving Books to Review about a year ago that is kind of along the same lines of this video, but I felt that one was way more general and had more to do with what to do when you actually do have a book to review, like in your hands, whereas this video is much more specific and it's going to be telling you guys different ways of how to actually get those books. So I will leave the link to that video in the description of this one if you want to check that out and maybe gain more knowledge about receiving books to review, but today we're talking about ARCs. Now, everyone who watches Booktube or makes videos themselves are going to be very jealous of the Booktubers who get every anticipated release under the sun before its release date. So this video is going to be giving you guys tips on how you can possibly receive some of those ARCs. The first thing that you need to be really aware of, especially if you're going to be directly working with publishers hopefully in the future, is be aware of how old your channel is and how large your following is. Generally, if you only just started Booktube a few months ago and don't really have a stable growing following, you might want to wait a few months before you outright contact a publisher for review books. So that time when you first start Booktube is a really great time to work on your content, to make friends, get really involved in the community. I really recommend reviewing books of your choice on your channel, so that way you kind of fall into the whole reviewing aspect of Booktube, so that when it is time for you to start contacting publishers, they'll be much more interested in your channel. There are no universal guidelines for when a publisher can send a booktuber or book blogger a book to review, but I do know that certain publishing companies, like I know for a fact Penguin and possibly HarperCollins as well, have subscriber quotas of 10,000. There might be somewhere out there that have 5,000 or 20,000 if they're super established. The whole reason that ARCs are actually produced and sent out to people like Booktubers is for that content creator to talk about that book on their channel, get everyone really excited for the release, and make people more persuaded to pick up that book. Unfortunately, it's not just to make very dedicated fans of that author happy. So do keep in mind your following, because unfortunately it is a very important aspect when you are working with a publisher for a book release. But be patient, your time will come, and just wait until you're more confident to put yourself out there in the publishing industry. Once you have reached that level, whether that be 10,000 subscribers or more or less, of course it can really vary, and it really just depends on when you feel comfortable enough to put yourself out there. You actually have to find the places where you can request these books. Now, the first way to get ARCs is definitely not the most stable, and it doesn't work for everyone, and not everyone has these opportunities to get ARCs through this way. Even though this way of getting ARCs is not the most stable and it's not the most common and it's very limited, there is no subscriber quota or anything like that you need to get ARCs this way. I just want to put that out there first because it has a lot to do with what I'm going to be talking about later. So the first way I'd recommend trying to get ARCs is by going to book events. These are going to be most common at big book conventions. Like I just got back from BEA, which is where I got all of the ARCs that I showed in the thumbnail. Even though BEA is restricted to people in the publishing industry like booktubers and bookstagrammers and book bloggers and reviewers and publishers and all that fun stuff, BookCon also gave away some ARCs that I'm aware of, and that is more open to the public. I have been to book signings where the author was just given out a few copies of their new book, or they just had them on your table to take. For example, I know Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff have been doing a bit of touring around the US, and every single night they post on Instagram that they're giving away Gemina ARCs for whoever is coming to their signing if they're lucky enough. Like I said, book events aren't that frequent. Not a lot of people have the opportunity to go to them, and you're never guaranteed an ARC unless you're going to a place like BEA. But if you have the opportunity to go, and especially if you're in a lower subscriber rank where you can't work with publishers, it's something to consider trying to get those ARCs from that place. Bouncing off of that, there are certain websites that some publishers are affiliated with where you can request advanced ebook copies, and I don't believe they have any specific subscriber quotas like actually receiving a physical book from a publisher would, so that might be a really good way to start on your journey. The only site I have ever personally used is NetGalley, where you basically request early ebook copies of books, you download them, read them, review them on your platform, you post a review on your profile. That'll gain you more recognition, which means you'll eventually get more books. I know that Penguin has a program called First to Read, where you can sign up with your email address, and every month they will send you a list of new releases that you can request early copies for. There's also a website called Edelweiss that I know is really popular among publishing houses. They all sign up and they provide e-copies to reviewers that way. Now, I am not very prolific in these online ebook areas, but if you're interested, all of the links are below, and you guys can do your own sort of research on how to find out more about getting ARCs that way. And if you're somebody who uses a lot of these websites to get ARCs and I've left one out, please let me know. I'd love to have a full list that people have access to. review. Now, the area of requesting ARCs that I am more familiar with, which is going to be the remainder of this video, which probably amounts to most of this video, is by actively emailing publishers for review copies. Firstly, I personally think it's a really great idea when you're emailing a publisher for the first time is to have a specific book in mind that you want to review rather than just asking to get on their monthly lists right off the bat. Also, if you have a specific book in mind, it's going to help you narrow down who is best to help you snag that copy. Large publishing houses have a ton of subdivisions, so if you're going to email the most basic and most trafficked email, you're probably not going to get the best response, if a response at all. So by picking one or two specific ARCs, you're probably going to find a better contact who is best fit to help you with that book. Also, in relation to picking a specific book, you want to make sure you're emailing at a prime time to request that book. I would say in between 2 or 4 months would be a really good time to email publishers for a specific book before it's released, because this is when publishers are actually going to have the ARCs to give out to you, and you're also going to have enough time to follow up with them if they don't respond to your initial email. Basically, I would not recommend more than 6 months in advance, and definitely do not ask for an ARC the week prior to its release date. So in order to find these emails, I feel the best way would be to just explore that publisher's website. Every single publishing house is going to have a section on their website that's basically like a contact us, where they have a lot of different information for specific people for you to contact. And sometimes publishers are just the nicest people in the world, and they'll actually have a specific page dedicated to review copy requests. Keywords that you might want to look for while exploring these websites would be ARCs or advanced reader copies, galleys, review copies, or publicity. Sometimes even just Googling HarperCollins publicity email or Macmillan review copies will lead you to the right place. So once you have this email to request this ARC, you have to actually email them, which is probably the most crucial part of this process. Now, I think this goes without saying, but you should probably have a professional email address for you to be contacting publishers. I know that for most of us, booktubing is just a hobby, but your email address is the first thing they're going to see, and that's their first impression of you. So make sure we're not using like a 2006 AIM email address, ihurtpuppiesx03@aol.com. Your best options are probably to go with either your full name or something that has to do with your channel. Like, for example, my business inquiries email is emmmmabooks@gmail.com. The next thing you want to be concerned with that they're going to see right off the bat is the subject of that email. I personally think that this can be like really big and whatever you want it to say. Something along the lines of insert book title here, ARC request would probably be fine. Even if by accident you send it to the wrong email, that person is going to see this and say, oh, this person is requesting a review copy, let me just forward it right away to the correct person, and it won't get lost in their email. As for the body of the email, you're going to want to start off with an introduction of yourself and your channel. So for example, personally, I usually start off my emails with something like, hello, my name is Emma Giordano, I am a 20-year-old booktuber, and I'm a big fan of the novels you publish. I currently manage a YouTube channel based primarily on producing creative content concerning books. After just 2 years of regularly uploading to my booktube channel, I have created a following of over 25,000 lovely readers who enjoy young adult literature just as much as I do. On average, I receive anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 views on a variety of videos like book hauls, wrap-ups, discussions, and reviews. Right away, they know my name, my age, how old my channel is, how many followers I have, my average view count, the types of videos I make, and that I'm interested in YA. Then I'll normally include a link to my channel so they can directly go to see what is like, I guess, my resume in this particular situation. One thing I also like to do personally is I always include a playlist of all of my book reviews that I've done so far. That way they can go and take a look at what kinds of books I review and my average view count of those videos. If this is your first time contacting this specific publisher, but you have worked with publishers in the past, or you've helped an indie author with the release of their book to review, this is something you might want to include right here just to maybe bump up your street cred. You don't have to. You don't have to have worked with publishers in the past to get a deal with a publisher for the first time. Just something you might want to keep in mind. Essentially, this is the part of the email where you're trying to sell yourself. You want to give them a reason to send you this book, so you want to be professional and personable, but also have a reputable channel to show them. While that introduction might seem a little long because I am a very wordy person and just so my emails are really wordy, this is the part where I'll jump right into asking them about the specific book I'm requesting. So I might say something like, I am aware that you are publishing, insert author's names, new title, insert book title, on insert publication date. I was wondering if you had any advanced reader copies available for viewers who are interested. One thing I did learn recently is that it is a good idea to include your mailing address into the initial email here. I always just thought it was a little presumptuous to just send out your mailing address in the first email, first time contacting this publisher, but through research for this video, I've learned that this is actually really helpful to publishers, and it might be a good thing to include it. So now that you have put it out there that you're looking for the specific book, I'd honestly recommend, if this is your first time contacting this specific publisher, to ask about any requirements they have for booktubers concerning ARCs. Something I might say would be, I'm aware that many companies that send review copies to YouTubers have a sort of subscriber quota. Is that something that it's your publishing house would require? Any further information you could supply me with concerning what you require from booktubers would be of great help to me. So not only have you now paved the way for an answer about that particular book, but you've also laid the foundation to gauge a response about anything concerning this company's policies for giving out ARCs. So even if you aren't eligible for that particular book, or they don't even have any more available, now you've just given them more to email you about, and you'll eventually get more information from that. So then to close out the email, just wrap everything up and be polite. Thank them for their consideration and for any other information that they can offer you about ARCs or their general standards for working with booktubers, and let them know that you're looking forward to possibly working with them in the future. Now, while that was very long and very detailed and in-depth, and like I said, my emails are probably so much longer than any other booktuber that sends out emails to publishers, that's personally how I would request an advanced reader copy from a publisher I've never spoken to before. And I think that really concludes this video. I hope you guys found this video informative and hopefully gained something from it. While I talked for a very long time about actively emailing publishers, don't forget about going to book events. You can possibly get ARCs there, as well as eGalley online program thingies. If you've been around the publishing block once or twice and have your own tips, whether that be more eGalley websites that I wasn't aware of, or just other tips you want to include on how to email publishers, I would love to know. Everyone can benefit from somebody else's tips, even myself. I know in these booktubing 101s, I try and appear very well versed in the topics I'm talking about, but that's through a lot of research and listening to other people's experiences. So I would love to know how getting ARCs has worked out for you in the past. Also in the comments of this video, let me know of any other suggestions you have for booktubing 101 topics. Obviously, these videos are like how-to booktube videos, so if there's anything you're really interested to know about, I'd love to make a video about it. I do have a link to the playlist of all of my booktubing 101 videos thus far if you want to check those out, but I'd love to know what you guys want to see from me. That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!